If you read the papers or go back in the records of those days, it looked as though the Rotary Club of Toledo came down to Findlay and urged us to become a Rotary Club. That is not true. A gentleman by the name of William Houck, he was known as Billy, really. He was the boss of, coincidentally, the Boss Manufacturing Company, which was known to Findlayites as the Glove Factory. But Billy would go to the club up in Toledo, Ohio, as a visitor. And he would go in until he almost became a nuisance. But he kept plugging away, and finally, I like to say he drug them down screaming, and they brought the charter in. They weren't hesitant, however, to take full credit that they had established a club in Findlay, Ohio. But the founders were quite a group. For instance, the one founder, a man by the name of Masco, was a member of the founders group. His company produced nitroglycerin, which was used to set off the wells, trigger them to explode and send the crude oil gushing up through the casings. The nitro was triggered by what was known as a go devil. It was two pieces, angle iron, welded together at the joint and sharpened to a point, and then that would be dropped in to rattle down through the casing and hit the nitro, which had been very carefully lowered by string. And they would yell, "Fire in the hole," and they would drop the go devil in, and everybody would run. And they would run fast because you didn't know what would happen.
The community of Rotary to me is so many people. I think back to when I went to Anaheim, California to be trained as a district governor, and there were 530 district governors there from all over the world, from about 167 countries. These people represent 1.25 million Rotarians from 30,000 clubs. When you think of Rotarians, you think of the good that people do. You think of what they do without any expectation of recognition, their pay, or anything else. They go out of their way to help somebody. I am working with all these wonderful people, and within every single individual human being, there is a lot of good. And so I think Rotary is really brought to me what compassion means, what empathy means, what putting aside your own personal agenda for the good of the world means. And it's not difficult when you sense that binding power to have it transcend into your personal and individual life and make you a better person for it.
The presence of women in Rotary since 1989 has added a new dimension. I think women were involved as Rotarians, they used to call them. My mother was a Rotarian, and they were very involved in the activities of Rotary and good support people. But now to be able to be the Rotarians also and have positions of leadership and service, I think has just multiplied Rotary's ability to serve.
Our good Rotarian friend met Hector at the Benjamin Bloom Hospital. They asked what would happen to this young man. And he said his family loves him, but he'd be forgotten. And our friends said, no, that's not good enough. They brought young Hector back. Many, many tales of that, but I'm happy to say he's a golfer. He's active in the community and a loving and loved child. The Golden Apple happened with a carload of Rotarians going to a district assembly. And somebody said, we have to do something for our educators. And that's when we decided that we'd really take a serious look at this. And I think one of the neatest things about the Golden Apple is that it involves so many Rotarians, and they get a real taste to go out into the community. But the neat thing about this is, one teacher, after he received the Master Teacher Award, told us the neatest thing about it, the whole program, was the fact that somebody cared enough to come into his classroom and see what he was doing with their students, with their children.
My dream of Rotary would be that we would continue to do just as we have done since our origin back in 1920, continuing to go by our motto, service above self. Not for ourself, but for others, helping others.